Welcome to another episode of the Diary of a Sales Expert podcast. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you have enjoyed the first couple of episodes. This is episode number 3, and you found it valuable and insightful, giving you some insights into sales and how to achieve success in your business or as a sales career and your sales profession. And I hope you've also enjoyed the inspirational stories that we share at the end of them, because those stories, I think, are about incredible people doing amazing things. And I'm going to share with you a story of someone today who I think has also done an incredible achievement. So stay tuned to the end to listen to that. But look, so let me start. I wanted to start by talking about successful sales and how to achieve successful sales in your business and what you're doing. And I wanted to focus this episode on what I call the foundations for successful selling. And whether you're a business owner that's running your business or whether you're employed in sales, these are both critical factors that I think make a huge difference in whether you're going to achieve success. And they are the following. They are your vision, your mission, stroke your purpose, your values, and then I call it your personal why. And I really wanted to focus on this in this episode because I believe fundamentally that the success behind sales and achieving sales success comes down to having really good foundations. So in my business, the Small Business Sales Academy, we have a 7-figure sales blueprint. And that's 6 pillars that we call it of sales success. And those pillars are critical, we know, from working with thousands of businesses and from engaging with so many different business owners that these are the critical factors. And these pillars, as we talk about it, there is building blocks or foundations that are critical for you to achieve the success you want. And you know, there's some great quotes that I always say to people around your foundations. You know, it's this quote, every big tree has strong roots to withstand the winds which blow harder at the top. You're going to get tough times. You're going to get challenges. Gordon Hinckley, another great quote, you can't build a great building on a weak foundation. And the reality is, if you're in business and you've got a plan for your company and what you're doing, your foundations are so important to this, and your why is so important as well. And Simon Sinek, who is, if you've not read any of Simon Sinek's books, I really encourage you to look at Start With Why. I might actually include a recommended book, a recommended reading material at the end of the podcast as well, because I'm a big avid reader. Everyone when they meet me say, you read books, you listen to so many books. And I do. I love listening to them to build my knowledge. But he always talks about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that why is your why, and your vision and your mission and your purpose as a business is critical. And I believe they are the fundamental sort of building blocks and driving forces behind great businesses. And both the why, the personal why is an important one to have, but also your business why, the reasons why you're doing it make such a difference. And it underpins everything. And without having this why in place and this vision of where you want to be, you might struggle to withstand some of the tough times that you have. And when we go through business, the reality is business is full of ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. There is, it's why, as I'm in my old age now of 47, I know that it's about enjoying the journey. There are days that are great, where you smile, where you're like a peacock wandering around because you feel so amazing. And there are other days when you feel absolute rubbish because everything's going wrong, and you're in a bit of a slump. And we want to be in a position where we can change that and move away from that. And so what I wanted to talk about is is firstly about your personal why. So let me just focus on that one first, and then I'll come to the vision and mission and purpose and values for your business. So your personal why is something that is a really important thing for you to identify as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I encourage you to write down, some people have a vision board, which is a great way of doing this. So a vision board is where you can put a board up with some pictures of things that are important to you, that you want to achieve, that you want to make happen. And it's a great way to visualize where you want to be. But that why, what's driving you, is a really important thing to do, because, you know, we all as human beings need that focus. We need that, if you like, compass to take us to a certain place. And your why is your compass. It's your driving force to what you're doing for. And you might have a number of reasons for it. Your why might be because you want to provide, and this is mine, I want to provide the best possible help and support and life for the people I love the most, my family. And I want to give them the great experiences. I want to look after them. I want to support them and be there and give them the things that, you know, because when they smile, I smile. That's something that's really important for me. But also your personal why might be because you've had a challenge in the past, or you overcame. One of the companies I'm chairman of, Green Hat, they brought a guy in to speak at an event called Justin Manley, who had a horrific accident when he was in a plumbing accident, basically, where he nearly died, and that was his why to then, you know, do the work that he does. Or it could be that your personal why is that someone's told you couldn't do something, and that someone told you that you would be, you know, I had a client once say to me that, you know, she had someone in business as a business partner that told her she could never achieve anything and she'd never make anything. And that was her why. It was sort of like etched in her brain that she was going to prove this person wrong. So your personal why is a really, really critical thing for you to have and to put in place. And what that is so vital for you to know what you're doing. It's there's a great guy called Joe Nagel and Mock from a company called the Innovation Beehive, and they always and I happily reference them, but they basically use this term called the duvet chuck. What's your duvet chuck? And your duvet chuck is your reason for getting out of bed in the morning, right? And not when you get to my age, it's not my old age, although I do end up having to go to the loo a bit more times at night. No, but that's, and by the way, yes, I have checked my prostate out, but thank you for thinking that. But it's your duvet chuck. What's going to get you out of bed in the morning? What's driving you? What's your why? What's making that happen? And you need to develop that why. You need to put it in place. You need to have that strength and strong focus and saying, why am I doing this? Why is it why is it important to me? And is it, like you say, for your family? Is it because someone proved you wrong? Is it because you didn't have anything? Some people have a why that's to achieve success because they had nothing when they were a kid and they didn't want their kids to have that. I don't know. But write down, I'd like to just do this, write down, you know, the things that are your why you're doing this. Just, you know, maybe what I encourage you to do is get a piece of paper, put why in the middle and do literally circle it. And then just write down words that are driving you to do what you're doing, your personal why. Because if you're, let's say, in a sales role, or you've got a sales career, you know, why are you doing what you're doing? Why? And yes, you might say that it's because you want to pay the bills and you've got to, you know, you want to go on holidays and whatever else. And those things are fine. But also try and just dig a bit deeper. So try and, you know, probe a bit more into that. So why do you want to go on those holidays? What makes those so important? What makes that buying that house or buying that car or whatever you've got as a goal? And by the way, I think those personal goals sometimes aren't the best things to have as your why, but if it's your why, then write it down. Write down why it's important to you. And spend some time to look at what's going to drive you, because when the going gets tough, and it will get tough, that's just the nature of business and life and sales careers, it does happen that way. You're going to then, and I want you to do one other thing, and once you've written down your why, I want you to circle the top 3 to 5 areas on that, and I want you to take a photo of it, and I want you to have it on your phone, and I want you to have that so you can reference it and look back at it on a day-to-day basis, and you can look back and say, okay, what's my why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And that constant reinforcement of, you know, why you're doing what you're doing is going to help you in those tough moments to overcome them. So really write down those, you know, get that pad of paper, write down why in the middle, and write down what you're doing this for, and then be in a position to circle the top 3 to 5, and I want you to take a photo and put it on your phone. If you want to share it with me, I'd love you to do that. But write down your why and start to focus on it so that whenever you're having to do difficult things, or maybe you're having to do something in sales that's a challenge, like, you know, having to ask for a price increase, or maybe you're having to charge a higher price to someone than you thought, or you're worried about calling or speaking to someone you don't know. what you can then do is you can go back and look at that why and say, okay, here's why I'm doing it. And the why is a critical thing for you in those moments when it's tough. So that's the first thing. The second thing then around this is around the vision and the mission and the purpose of your organisation. And there's so much in this area that I think is really, really important and critical. And actually, a lot of companies have visions that are pretty poor, if I'm honest with you, and pretty dire. But a vision is something that should inspire. It should be something it's a big play. It's a big vision. It should be, quite a scary thing, maybe even in some cases. And it may be a vision that is a bit, wow, it should be a bit, blimey, that's what your vision. So my vision, for example, is I want to end financial anxieties for business owners worldwide, because when they spend better time, when they basically have less financial anxiety as a result of selling more, they spend better time with their loved ones. So my mission and vision or my vision, I should say, is to basically avoid business owners having financial struggles. And I'm hoping my outcome of that is that kids are going to have better times with their families. Business owners are going to spend better time with their loved ones. They're going to be more present. They're going to have better moments with the people that really matter in their life because they're achieving success. And finance and monies is such a worry for so many business owners and people that when we remove that by selling more and building our businesses, then those issues go away. So that's my vision. And that, to end financial anxiety for business owners, wow, it's millions of business owners worldwide, but right, I've got a big vision to aim for. And if you look at some examples of other visions, Tesla. So everyone, knows about Tesla and Elon Musk and what he's, doing that. But people think, does it got to be linked to my business? Or someone says, my vision is to achieve X revenue in the next year. That's not a vision. A vision, Tesla's is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So there's no mention of cars in there. There's no mention of, that what they're focused on doing is to transition the world to sustainable energy. That is a completely different vision than trying to sell 1,000 million cars or whatever else. Or you've got, for example, another vision statement, Google's, for example, is to organise the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So to organise the world's information, it's like, wow, what a big vision that is. Or you've got, another great vision, which would be, someone like Ben & Jerry's, who would say, making the best possible ice cream in the nicest possible way. That's their vision. Or even Harvard University, there you go, great, example of their vision is to develop leaders who will one day make a global difference. So this vision should be something that's exciting. It should sort of scare you a little bit. It should be quite it should be a real massive factor in your world. And it's really, been having something that is the purpose that inspires your market and elevates your company. And the reason this is also really important is that when you start to talk to people, when I talk to people about their vision and what they want to do, if someone tells me their vision is to make lots of money, I'm going, yeah, okay, so what? All right, well, join the club. Everyone wants to be that, do that. But when someone says to me that their vision is to, solve a major problem in the world or to deal with a particular type of issue or challenge or have an impact on the world, then you go, wow, okay, that's a bit different. So I'll give you an example. So Green Hat. Green Hat Consulting is a company I'm chairman of. I'm proud to work with Andrew and the team there. And the vision that we've got at Green Hat is to end deaths and injuries on construction sites. In the UK, for example, there are still, even in 2023, 120 people die per year on a construction site. And that's 120 lives that get affected as a result of this. And what we want to be able to do is to change that and so that people don't die on construction sites and so that we make it safe and accessible for everyone. And so I think that that's a great vision. And when we share the mission of how we're going to do that, the work we do to do that, we share the story. And the story, for example, in Green Hat's case, was that Ian, one of the directors at Green Hat, one day had to go to an investigation of a person that was killed on a construction site. And this person, unfortunately, died as a result of an accident and something happening. And I tell a story, it makes the hairs stand up on the back of my neck, but he tells a story that when he left the building for the day, there was just one car left in the car park. And that car was the person that passed away that day, that died. And he vows, and along with Andrew, the CEO there, they vowed to actually, they wanted to avoid that. They want to eradicate it and stop that from happening. And one death was too many. And that one car left in the car park was basically just wrong. So that's their vision. They want to make that make that happen and stop that happening. Sorry. And when we talk to people about what the services, and we provide health and safety and services to lots of construction companies. When we talk about those services and we talk about why we're doing it, that vision to eradicate that, because it's just not, people see them differently. When I talk to people about my vision, people might laugh at my vision even, but people go, well, wow, that's an incredible vision. It's like it's a purpose bigger than you. It's something bigger than what you're doing. And when we listen to, as human beings, stories, and it's scientifically proven that different parts of our brain will light up and connect when we hear stories or things that are inspirational. And our brain releases something called oxytocin when we do this, when we hear these interactions, and it changes our behaviour. And it creates empathy. It creates a connection. We feel like we know what's going on. When I just said that story about the car in the car park, I bet you can probably picture that now and think, I can see that one car there, and that person never went home to their family that night. And that vision is powerful. It's more than just doing business and earning money and growing revenue. It stands for something. And the companies that do incredibly well are companies that those that are incredibly successful have a strong vision to do something different or do something better or to make a difference in the world. They've got this vision to achieve something in the world. And the money actually that they create is a byproduct of that. And it's a really good example of, it's not the focus. And I will be honest with you, and I'll say to you, if you're listening to this podcast now, by the way, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and hoping what I'm sharing is of interest and value to you. But if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, my goal is just to make lots of money, I'm going to be honest with you and say, that's a pretty crappy vision, I think. And I think people are going to look at that and go, actually, they'll see through it, because what they'll do is they'll see it as being quite a selfish thing. And I get we all want to be successful. We all want to do nice things and have nice things. I get that totally. But if your vision's just about you being rich and making lots of money and stuff everyone else, then I don't think that's going to inspire people. Whereas if you can come up with a vision that makes people go, wow, okay, that's pretty big, and inspire people and make them feel like, that you've got something that you're doing that's going to make a difference in the world. Not only is it going to, literally inspire you to keep doing it because you're making an impact, but it's also going to be an incredible inspiration for if you want to bring people into your team. I guarantee you right now, especially here in the UK, there is a recruitment shortage. There is massive shortage of skills and people. And if you want to get people to join your team, you better come up with something that's exciting, that's an inspiration. Because if you don't, then the reality is that you're going to, people, especially the millennial generation and the Generation Z, they want to work in companies that are having that purpose. So there's an interesting stat that Harvard Business Review identified, and I think I might get these numbers slightly wrong, but it's in this sort of area, which was that 86% of millennials felt that a company's job was to make a social impact or have social purpose, whereas 37% of them thought a company's job was to make money. So in other words, nearly 8 out of 10 millennials think the job of a company is to have a social impact, to make an impact on the world in a positive way, whereas only not even 4 out of 10 of them think it's to make money. And so if you want to bring people on board in your journey and to join you in your company, that you've got to create that inspirational story that's going to make them think, wow, I want to be part of that. And you've got lots of other companies that are doing this sort of stuff right now that are doing things that are making an impact on the world. So another good example is for a company that's got a really good mission and vision is a company called Who Gives a Crap. So I don't know if anyone's seen Who Gives a Crap. They are, and I'm not a bit of a rude man, but I'm not going to. I do sometimes swear. Apologies, you may get some swearing, unfortunately, in my podcast because, unfortunately, the odd bit of words come out. But what Who Gives a Crap is all about is basically toilet paper. It's expensive toilet paper. It's toilet paper that, and I'm going to be honest with you, that's nearly 80 times more expensive than your standard toilet paper. Okay, but the whole idea of what they're doing is that they have these bamboo toilet paper that is good for the environment, okay? And their whole mission, and if you go on their website, I was on their website a little while back, and if you read their story about what their vision is, they want to be in a position where, and they says it on there, people don't have access to a toilet. Apparently it's 2.4 billion people don't have access to a toilet, and that means that nearly 300,000 children die every year from diarrhea and diseases caused by water and sanitation. And they thought, the guys that started that business, Simon, thought that was pretty crap, as they say. And they decided to create a business that literally could help solve that problem and solve that issue. And when you then, and they've become a really incredibly successful business. I think they're doing turnover of around £10 million now, because they have a purpose and a vision that's bigger than just them. And by the way, they're in an industry where toilet paper's been around for a long time, right? But because they give 50% of their profits to build toilets and help sanitation around the world to stop these kids, passing away and dying, people are inspired by it, and they go, wow, they want to do it, and they'll pay. Like I say, if you went into Asda or Sainsbury's or Tesco supermarket, 80 times more expensive for toilet roll, but people do it because they like the story that it has. So I really encourage you to think about your vision that you've got for the business you've got. What is that vision? What is the thing that you are doing that is so inspirational? What is it? What's this? Paint this picture of where you're going and where you're trying to get to. And it should be big and it should be bold. And as my coach said to me, it should scare you a little bit, but it should also make you feel quite excited. And it should be your reason for wanting to do what you do, as well as that personal why. It should be your driving force behind it. And again, go back to mine. Mine's to help business owners around the world. So every day I think, well, actually, if I'm focused on my vision and helping business owners around the world by creating content, by sharing values, by providing ideas, then it's going to help people. And yeah, of course, I want to do well at the end of that. But my first process, if you listen to my podcast and have watched many of my videos on YouTube and things through just searching James White Sales, you'll know that what I'm focused on doing is making that difference in the world. So I really, really encourage you to focus on your vision. And your vision should be where where you're going to go. So I want to, where you're going to be. And your mission is how you're going to get there. And your mission so for me, my vision is how I want to help business owners around the world avoid financial anxiety, and how I'm doing it. And my mission is to give them the sales skills and tips and tools to be able to achieve the success that they want and need. So I really want you to focus on that and your purpose. What's your purpose? Go back and have a look. Who gives a crap? Look at their purpose. Their purpose is bigger than them. And it's something that is absolutely, really important in business nowadays to be successful. And I always say to people, if you imagine two companies that are selling to you, personally, one which just has a good service at a high price, and the other which has a vision to try and change the way in which the world operates, and one that tries to get you to buy, that's careful, doesn't want to share anything, and it's all about them and the money they earn, and the other is about trying to give because they want to help and support. Which one are you going to buy from? You're going to buy from option number 2 because you feel connected with them. So as human beings, we need that vision, we need that story, we need that element in our world to be inspired to. And as a business owner, I can't tell you how important and vital it is that for us as human beings that we just build that vision that works. And I guess I'd really encourage you to write down your vision of what that looks like. What is it you want to do, and where do you want to be, and think about what that impact you want to make on the world. And as I said to you, if your vision is just to have a really big car and a really big house, then cool, okay, have that. But I guarantee you, once you've got that house and big car, then you'll want something bigger and better. And we're always on the search for this bigger and better. And being realistic, we're not like the Egyptians years ago and can bury all our possessions in a tomb with us. Can't take it with us, right? So do you want to be known for being the richest arsehole in the graveyard, or the person that made the most impact and difference? And I personally would rather be the one that made the impact and difference. And so your vision and your purpose is critical. But then the other element to this is values. So what are the values that you then have? And I think your values should be what I think are your visible tattoos that you show to live up to who you want to be as a company. And for example, the values that I have in my company are accountability, passion, respect, quality, and learning. And those are values that I want my team to focus on, to be part of what we do. And those are values that I think are if you like, how we go about doing our work. So my question is what are the values that are critical for you and your company? And again, as I said, not only is it important for sales and selling, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, but it's massively important if you want to start building a team, if you want to recruit people. Going back to the stuff that NASA did years ago, right? They were able to inspire even the cleaner. That great story, even when someone asked the cleaner at NASA years ago, what are you here to do? Oh, I'm here to put a man on the moon. That person knew, even though their job was cleaning, it was part of a bigger picture to put a man on the moon. And that vision was just excited people and got them involved in it. So we really want to be in a position where our vision is inspiring, it attracts people, it's exciting, we talk about it, we can make people stand up and think, wow, that's incredible, that's a big vision. Okay, and how you're going to do it, here's how we're doing it, and this is the work we do, and this is why we do what we do. It will make such a big difference in your world, and the work we do with clients and customers is exactly that. So, and then focus on these values. How can you then demonstrate your values and demonstrate how you want to do what you do to the world, and create those? Maybe write down again some I'll actually try and see if I can put a list of maybe 20 to 30 different words that you can use for values, and maybe try and identify some of those values. What are the top 5 to 10 maybe the top 20 initially that matter to you, and then whittle that down to maybe 5 to 6 that you think, no, that's how I want to live my life every day, that's how we want to operate. Because I guarantee you, when you start to then put those values in place and link that to your mission and vision, you're going to find that companies, start getting attracted to who you are and what you're about, and they're going to want to know that story. And even if they don't, right, it matters to you. And therefore, you can pretty much say, well, because it matters to me, you won't stop doing it, you'll commit to time to doing it, and you'll love doing it because it's important, and you won't stop doing it. And I always think, if you love what you do, you don't put time limits on when you do it. You'll just keep doing it because it matters to you. And it'll be your compass in tough times when you're going through shit to go, no, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so I really, really encourage you to focus on that. Focus on that vision, that mission, those values that excite. And like we said, write down that personal why as well. The personal why is a really, really good thing to think about there, and what you're doing to achieve the success you want. And actually, I talked about great. I'm going to use some books. I read a lot of books, and the book you could maybe read around that is by a guy called Seth Godin, who's a marketing expert worldwide, called The Dip, and he talks around how most people give up when they're at the dip, at the lowest point, where actually that's the time where you've got to carry on and keep going, and having that vision and why, if you go back to that, will be a real inspiration for you to think through and know what you want to do. And sometimes we don't know, but if you give that time, give that thought and that process to know what you do and what impact you want to make in the world, and how you want to achieve things, and what your personal why is, it's going to help you massively in your sales. It's going to help you in recruitment. It's going to help you build a culture that's going to help you grow and build a business. And like who gives a crap? We've now built a business because people are inspired to go and help kids around the world have toilets in place and 50% of their profits goes to those people. So they've got a purpose to doing it. So that's the story I want to share on the podcast today. I hope that's been helpful to you. Write down, I'd love you to share with me, what's the vision, what's the mission, what's the values you've got for you and your company? How are those embedded in what you do, and how are you living and breathing those every day? Let me know. I think that would be fantastic to see. So, but look, as I always do on the podcast, I always also share a story, of an inspirational story of someone who I think is someone that's worth looking at their story. If you remember, I've shared a story about a guy that rode the Atlantic. I've shared a story about a guy that cycled to Land's End and John O'Groats and back. And this episode, I'm going to talk about a guy who I think did something in 2022 that was quite incredible. And he's a guy called Gary McKee. He's just raised over £1 million. And by the way, these are the people that I think should be knighted. I know there's lots of politicians and people in certain government organisations that get knighted. I think it's people like this guy, Gary McKee, should be knighted. Here's why, right? He ran a marathon every day in 2022. So for 365 days, every day, he got up and ran a marathon. Now, I did a half marathon. I'm a big guy. If you've ever have a look at my videos, YouTube, go to James White Sales, go to any of my social media, you'll notice that I probably need to lose a bit of weight. I'm trying not to do that, but I'm a big guy. And I did a half marathon in October 2021. And oh my God, it nearly killed me. It was hard work, right? And yet this guy ran 365 marathons. A marathon every day, 27 whatever 0.1 miles it is. And I just think that's just incredible. I just think what an achievement. Very humble guy from Cumbria. And I just think, he raised money for Macmillan Cancer, who are a great charity. And he raised, over this £1 million, and I donated myself because I was just in awe of what he did. And I think if you think about incredible achievements to be inspired by, someone like Gary McKee is wow. That's up there. So Gary, and by the way, if Gary's ever, I'd love to get Gary onto my podcast. I may reach out to him and see if he wants to, to join us. Even though he's maybe not a sales expert, that motivation, that drive, that why that he had, I think can inspire us all and be a great thing for us all to think about. So look, that's the podcast inspirational story this time around. Gary McKee, have a little look for what he's done. If you want to donate to him, I'm sure there'll be, Macmillan Cancer would welcome it. But he's helping people that have, and as someone who's lost their mum to cancer, and seeing the work that organisations like Macmillan and Marie Curie, who I've raised money for in the past, have done. Then I'm sure it's a brilliant cause. So that's the inspirational story. I'm not suggesting you want to become like Gary and run a marathon every day. I don't think, I'm not sure you could do it. Of course you could do it. We can do anything we want to. But yeah, there's a story to inspire you to do what you want to do. But look, that's it from me today. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's given you some insights around life and focuses area for your business. I've started this off by, this early stage of the podcast by focusing on your vision and why. I always keep coming back to it because it's so important. Focus your time and effort on creating that and understanding it, and be bold about your vision and be bold about what you're trying to achieve, and put that story in. And the final bit I'll leave you with is this. It's never the sausage that sells, it's the sizzle. And if you think about it, it's never the sausage that sells, it's the sizzle. It's that, if you're, it's the sizzle, it's the factor, it's the elements around it that make the difference. And that's what your vision and your why can, and your purpose can do for you and your company. If you've got those in good place and they're making an impact on the world that's positive, then you're going to be in a position to achieve incredible success. So that's it for me this week. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please subscribe to the podcast. I'd love to get more people supported and sharing these ideas so that we can get them to where they want to be. And if there's other things you want us to talk about, areas you want to share, talk with us, reach out to us on social media, or head to my website, jameswhite.business, or www.thesbsa.com, and contact my team, and we'll be happy to talk about any areas we need to that are critical for you. But hopefully what I've shared today around vision and your why is going to put you in a great place to achieve great success this year. So thanks so much for listening. It means the huge amount to me that you've given me your time. It's the most precious thing you have. But I look forward to sharing some other ideas and thoughts with you next week. But stay safe, stay well, and see you soon. Take care.